My name's Emily Churkin. I'm the Screen Time Consultant. I wanted to talk today about activism because this is something I don't talk about a lot, or I haven't just previously talked about a lot, the activism that I do when it comes to screens and technology and children. And I don't know why I haven't blended these two things. I sort of have kept them separate. And I want to talk a little bit about it today because I actually just testified in front of the National Telecommunications Information Administration Privacy, Equity, and Civil Rights listening session. And it was on Microsoft Teams. So I did it right here from the comfort of my own home. And I only had about 3 minutes to talk, and I wrote a statement ahead of time and prepared it. And one thing I hear a lot from people is that they want to do something, they care about these issues. There's a lot of keyboard warriors out there who love to comment and post. But when it comes to actually stepping into the arena where you have policymakers or people with power, um, a lot of us get scared or go, oh, I'm not qualified or I can't do that. And I will say that my first brush with activism, well, it happened when I was a little kid. I kind of look back. I've joked that if I were to write a memoir, it would be called The Accidental Activist because I didn't mean to do any of this. It was just that I saw something that I really got upset about or it fired me up and I wanted to do something. And I felt like I needed to be that I needed to be that person. And so that's what's led me to doing a lot of activism I do. And I probably could do separate videos about several big things that I have done or participated in here in my district here in Seattle. But um, for today's listening session, I was sharing the work that I've been doing for an organization I co-founded called the Student Data Privacy Project, which was looking at the efficacy of a law called FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And for a lot of people, the minute you start talking about data and privacy, their eyes glaze over because it sounds boring, and it usually is. But as we all know, and again, the irony is not lost on me that I'm here on Facebook saying this. These big companies are collecting all kinds of data about us. And it's one thing if we're consenting adults, it's quite another thing if we're children in a school setting. And a lot of parents are sort of kind of aware that these things are happening, but maybe don't really know why it matters or what they need to be concerned about. And so I will probably do that in another video and talk a little bit about what we found in our student data privacy project experience. Um, but let me just say that FERPA, this law that is probably the only recourse parents have right now to push back against tech in schools through the legal system, um, was last meaningfully updated in 1974. That is before I was born. It is well before the digital age, the way we know it today. So if you're concerned at all about your kids' data and privacy in schools, just know that the law hasn't been updated since then and things have changed significantly. So I actually want to just go back to this idea of being an accidental activist, because one thing that again, I hear from a lot of people as well. I really care about this issue. I was even in a meeting last night, and someone in the group, we were encouraging people to testify at today's NTIA listening session. And somebody who is very well qualified, very well educated said, "Oh, I can't do that. It's just not, I'm not qualified, or I'm not an expert." And I have been guilty of that myself. And I really want to say that if we all continue to say that, then things will not change. We have got to do things in spite of the fear that we're not qualified or smart enough or expert enough, because I know that it matters and I know that it makes a difference. And you don't need to start at the federal level. There are lots of opportunities at the local level, either city council or your school board, to testify. And I know that there's a lot of heat on right now about school boards around the country. And I can tell you that if you prepare a statement that's honest and about your experience, and you present it in a rather normal tone of voice without yelling and accusations, you're going to get heard. Because the extremes, the people who show up and yell and have a lot of strong opinions, it's harder to take that seriously. And I think it's very powerful if somebody can get up and speak from their heart about their experience. And so you can do that by looking up I mean, you just start by doing a search for your school district or your school board information. There's always information. They have to let people provide public testimony. Um, and so I actually started, that's how I started kind of doing this stuff, was testifying at a school board meeting here in Seattle a couple of years ago, about my concerns about tech-based curricula that were being adopted for the science program. And it was really scary. I'm not gonna lie that I got up there and this was in person too. This was pre-COVID. And one of the things that I kind of stepped into this fight late in the game. I didn't realize what had been happening. And when I got there, I realized that I was in the minority of people who were testifying against the adoption of this curriculum. And it was a shocking experience for me because everybody there who was in favor of it were wearing like matching t-shirts and they had posters, and I was sitting next to this teacher and I turned to her and I was like, "Oh, hi. And I'm here to testify about the science curriculum." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, me too." And I said, "Oh, well, what are you testifying about?" And she's like, "Oh, I think it's so great. I can't wait." And I was like, "Oh, well, can you tell me what you like about it? Like, what is it that you're here for?" Because I was trying to learn. I was like, "Well, this is good. I get to talk to the opposition here and see what her viewpoint is." And she goes, "Oh, I don't know. I just heard it was great." And then I was like, "Oh, well, that's a really strong position to take, but not actually have the information about why you're taking that position." And then she asked me what I was going to testify about, and I told her, and she was like, "Oh." And then she immediately turned away and ignored me. And I was only one of two or three people that day who testified in opposition to the adoption of this curriculum. But it led me to a district watchdog who reached out to me after the testimony and said, and he said, like, "I want to work with you." And so he has actually become a really good friend of mine, and we've been making trouble, good kind of trouble, a la John Lewis, for the last couple of years. So I will, that's a whole nother video as well. But I guess the thing I really want to leave people with today is this idea that if we're going to talk the talk, we have to walk the walk. And may not be right now. It might just start with a general awareness about what's happening either in your school district or your school, like the board, or even just the administration. If you're concerned about the technology or the amount of screen time your children are having in school, you can just start by asking questions, being curious, not confrontational, curious. And then, well, that will help you to sort of better understand, like, well, where's the school coming from, and how do I feel about that, and how does it align with my values? Um, and then you can start looking for those opportunities to speak. And some people prefer to write, and writing matters. I was really excited. I've been writing letters to the editor at the New York Times for a while, and I got one published this summer in July. And I don't know why that one got picked, but it did. And it was very thrilling to have my name be in the New York Times. And I actually got people reaching out to me afterwards because they saw it. So, people say print is dead, but it isn't. And writing is powerful. So we can convey sometimes our ideas more powerfully in writing if speaking like this is nerve-wracking. And it is. I understand that. I won't lie, I get nervous, but I get this adrenaline rush, and then I want to like power through, and I want to make an impact. So if you're on the fence or if you've wondered about testifying, if you're in the Seattle area, I can give you a lot of tips about how to testify at school board meetings. I would be more than happy to do that. So if you are listening or watching or want to share an experience that you've had about testifying or sharing your opinion beyond just your family of talking the talk and walking that walk, please go ahead and drop that below. I would love to hear about your experiences as well. And that's it for today. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.